Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I want to share with you how to use ghost ink. Now this is from Rinea foil. I hope I am saying that right. I have a hard time pronouncing names. I'm going to be using some of their gorgeous foil today in my card. But the really special thing I'm going to be using is that ghost ink, and I'll show you how it works. So I'm starting off with this Earth Tones variety pack. This is the 6x12 size of foil. There's tons of gorgeous colors in there, but I'm using this darker brown color. I'm also using this Heartfelt Sympathy stamp set from Clair. This is one of the larger 6x8 stamp sets. It is stunning. I love it so much. The flowers in there. These are not fun cards to make, but if you have gorgeous stamps to work with, it makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to be using my ghost ink through a stencil. You can use it with the stamps by all means. And all this month, Rinea Foil is partnering with Clair. There have been a ton of tutorials on how to use this with your stamps. So I will leave the Clair stamps blog down below. Go over there and check out how to use this ink with your stamps. But I'm going to be using it through a stencil. So I placed on my stencil, taped it on the back so my tape didn't get in the way of the ink, and then I'm going to be using my mini ink blending tool with a clean sponge. This is a sponge dedicated to this ink only. Do not put this ink in your other ink pads. Try and blend it together. Try and reuse that sponge. Keep a dedicated sponge for this ink. I haven't put it in my ink pads, but I'm not sure I would want to, and I'm not sure of what actually would happen. But if this can lift color, it can certainly do something to your ink pad. So I am placing that through my stencil, and I am using an up and down motion, maybe even a little bit of a rolling motion. You do not want to rub this. Then you're going to really start to lift that color, and you just want this to sit and penetrate. That's what you want it to do. So I went ahead and sponged that through the entire stencil, a nice little layer of it, nothing too thick, and then I can go ahead and peel that stencil off. Now I let mine sit for about 10 seconds after I had finished everything. You want to find a happy medium between waiting and not waiting too long and letting the ink dry on there. Then once my 10 seconds were up, I grabbed my alcohol. This is just regular 91% alcohol you can buy anywhere, Target, Walmart, wherever, and I took it on a clean towel and started wiping. Now you can see that color starting to lift, and there's this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous color underneath there where you see that stencil detail now. It is so gorgeous. You can see the color on the background paper that rubbed off. Only give it one swipe with that alcohol, because if you do too many, you're going to start to take off the color with the alcohol as well. So once that was done, I set it aside to dry for just a minute. It really doesn't need any dry time, but I needed to go ahead and start working on the other portions of my card. I'm using that Heartfelt Sympathy stamp set like I said. I'm going to place my little flower in a die cut that I made. This is just an inside scalloped rectangle die set. I have one of the medium dies from that. I die cut it from brown and craft cardstock, ran that through my die cutting machine, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp on the craft center. I'm going to use the darker brown for the border, just to give it two different tones, give it a little bit more interest, because this is a simple card. I am using a brown dye ink. This is Memento. I'm not sure the color, but I'll have it linked down below in the description box. All the supplies are always linked down in the description box. So if you have any questions about colors, stamp sets, and whatnot, that's going to be down there. So I'm using, it's Rich Cocoa. That's what it is. I just needed a minute to think. So it's Rich Cocoa ink. I stamped that flower in the top, or in the bottom left hand. Then I'm going to flip that around in my MISTI and stamp this in the top right hand corner just to fill up that background. It really is a gorgeous tone on tone technique. This makes for some great coloring though. If you are into coloring, this stamp set is gorgeous colored. Go over and check out the Clair Stamps blog with the entire design team's coloring with this stamp set. It's beautiful. I stamped with Deepest Sympathy on a flag banner die cut that I die cut from cream cardstock. And then when it's time to put everything together, I've got an A2 side folding card base. I actually put this in my MISTI. That's going to help me line up this foil. I can just put everything in the corner, line it up, and press it down, and I know it's on there ready to go, nice and straight. Then I can move on and start putting everything else on top of it. So I'm starting off with that frame. Like I said, I die cut that from some dark brown cardstock. I am using a very thin score tape on this. I can peel off the backing. It does get a little tricky. You can always bring in your tweezers and put this down. That might make it a little bit easier instead of fighting with it. So I centered that in my card base, and I already have my other pieces prepped and ready to go. So next step, I'm going to go ahead and put the center down inside that. I've got some larger score tape to make sure this holds well against that foil. Remember, that foil is a nice slick surface. It's shiny and gorgeous, but it is slick. So you need a strong adhesive to make sure everything stays put while you mail your cards. I inserted that insert that I made with craft cardstock and the stamps on it. Then I put my flag banner right in the center of that. Now, before, or actually after I did the inside of my card, I did add some enamel accents on the outside that are brown. You could use clear, you could use whatever color. I know brown is a little bit harder to find. Now, it was time to do the inside of my card, and I love this just as much at the outside too. This would be a gorgeous, very quick sympathy card if you don't have time to do the entire outside. You could, by all means, take this inside and make it your outside. This only took about maybe 3-5 minutes to do. I went ahead and got the other stamp from that stamp set, the flower one, and I am stamping that down with some sand ink from Memento. It's a very, very light tan color. I doubled it up to make it a little darker, stamped it in the bottom right hand corner. Then I went ahead and stamped one of those sayings. It's actually a verse. It says, "May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace." And I stamped that with that same rich cocoa ink right beside there, kind of fit it into the flowers a little bit so it looks like one cohesive piece. And that finished off the inside of the card. It's gorgeous. It could be used as the outside of any card you wanted to do, but I wanted to go ahead and stamp this on the inside to finish it off. That completely finished off today's card, though. I know it's a sympathy card and they're not fun to make, but if you can make it pretty and use a fun stamp set, it makes it a little bit easier. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, there are going to be links on the left side of your screen that you can click on, as well as subscribe to my channel over there. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up down below. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and happy crafting.